to another episode of Tower Duo. So we have finally managed to make an in-person recording. So this is actually just going to be a one-off because both of us have to go back to our college dorms. So unfortunately, we won't be able to do this in the future, but I don't know, I'm pretty excited to have like this big logo right here.
Yeah, I know.
And such going on.
Yeah, you might have gotten a little used to the overlay that we've been using this whole season, but I'm sure this will be a nice change of pace for both us and for you. I don't know if you've been a frequent viewer. Without further ado, I'm Connor and this is Andrew. And today we're going to be talking about kind of what's going on with Pokedex entries throughout the entire core series of games. We're going to be kind of taking a bit of an in-depth look, definitely bringing up some specific ones. But kind of first off, I was thinking we could do a bit of like kind of a general overview. Like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on like, I guess you could say the legitimacy of the Pokedex entries?
So I think that as we've been able to see in the trailers for Legends Arceus, we sort of have the sense that the Pokedex entries go back at most a couple of hundred years.
Okay.
Because I think you're supposedly creating the first one, for Sinnoh at least.
Yeah.
Hisui.
Yeah, for sure.
So based on that information, we can tell that it's definitely like an ongoing research project. What I think is interesting though, is if you're making the first one then, and you're allegedly continuing to make them, continuing to get information, in the present day, why is it taking them so long to catalog all the Pokemon, even when there's only like a couple hundred that live in any given region?
Huh. Yeah, that is interesting. Like you're saying, like, so in Kanto, like, Professor Oak is like, oh, I need to do all this research on Pokemon, so you need to find them all. But like, if they've already been cataloged back in the Hisui region, like, why does this matter? Yeah, you got kind of a point there. Mm-hmm. Like, to be honest, I don't really know if Pokemon has a real explanation for that.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's a bit of a puzzle. My theory is that maybe the Hisui region is actually older. Would that make sense? Like they had all this stuff like back then, and maybe we're just thinking of it from the wrong perspective. Like I'm just wondering if the Hisui Pokemon League is just older and we just don't know that the other ones don't exist yet, and it's not really that it's being settled. It's like that's where it started.
Yeah. So like you're saying that all the Pokedex entries from the Hisui region were kind of lost?
No, I'm saying that they could have been lost. That's another possibility that I did not speculate on. But like, I think
I don't know.
Yeah. Like
I guess so my thing is like so we know that not all the Pokemon games are happening at the same time.
That's like true.
Yeah. So let's take Kanto. You have Professor Oak. He's a very renowned professor. He's known overseas. Everyone knows about Professor Oak. And he has this Pokedex with all of the Kanto Pokemon, presumably, documented on it. Then why, in black and white, do you have to re-document all the Kanto Pokemon?
Except they're not documented. That's the thing is they send you to do it because after all Professor Oak's years of research, he has not documented a single one. That's why he gives a Pokedex. That's why he gives a blank Pokedex to you to fill it out, which makes it even worse. So I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, okay, but so definitely with black and white. So in black and white, you get to challenge Red in the PWT, which means that this is post main Kanto storyline, right?
Yep, there's a couple of time skips.
Yeah, exactly. So this is after everything in Kanto happened. And so Red completed the Pokedex, handed it to Professor Oak, who then published it. Then why, in black and white, are the Kanto Pokemon just like, oh, we forgot. Like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't really see any plausible explanation for that.
The only the only thing that I can think of is if they want to have it in their own records and just verify the results. So it's sort of like in science when you do an experiment and you don't actually just go right away and say, oh, that's the truth. You actually have to repeat the experiment and go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Does it sort of make so they're
like,
just like
yeah,
verifying.
no, that makes sense. Like, we can't be sure
Right.
what they say is true because
Yeah.
I haven't seen any proof. So let's just let's make sure, and let's I don't know, maybe even figure out something new. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because the Pokedex entries aren't exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
From game to game, obviously. They
Yeah,
change.
no, for sure.
So they're clearly finding out more information about each Pokemon that they're then putting in their Pokedex entries.
Mm-hmm. But interestingly, like some of the games, like sometimes an entry in like say I don't know Platinum is going to be the same as an entry in X and Y. So I don't know, maybe when that's the case, it's just like they're saying, okay, we didn't find anything new, but we're verifying that what you said was right.
Or they're just plagiarizing.
Or they're just plagiarizing.
The other regional professors.
They're like, yeah, we're not really putting in any work here.
I wonder I bet if you read all the Pokedex entries, which we have not done anywhere close to, if you could be like, yeah, I think that's the most plagiarism heavy Pokedex that just copies other Pokedex entries. It would have to be one of the newer games.
Yeah, no, the newer games definitely do that a lot.
Or is that just a confirmation bias thing? What if the older games like in the Pokemon universe, the ones in the ones in Hoenn copied off of.
I feel like this is getting a little bit too meta.
But we just don't know. I don't know. I'm saying it's possible.
Yeah, I see where you're going, but like.
What I'm thinking is that what's actually happened is that there was like the old Pokedex and the new Pokedex, and I think that there's sort of some things were lost in translation. I'm also beginning to suspect that what happened is like originally they did the research for the Pokedex. They had that knowledge, and then it sort of became discredited over time as more research came out, and it was like, okay, well maybe the Pokedex it's not an accurate telling of what is actually out there. Maybe people exaggerated. And then they went back and they're like, wait a minute, it is better than anything that happened. And they're like, all right, fill the Pokedex again, research all the Pokemon again because we should go back to that.
Yeah.
So sort of like if we like rediscovered like stuff from like the Library of Alexandria. Where it's like, wait, they actually have that stuff pretty right, and we just wrote it off because it's like, oh, that was a long time ago. Something like that.
You know what? That's interesting, but at the same time, like, we're definitely gonna show you a couple things in the Pokedex that like just don't even make sense. Like, this couldn't be true. Right?
Yes.
So I feel like there is maybe entries like that could cause people to discredit a Pokedex.
Yes.
But then again, like we're definitely going to pay attention and see if like those types of entries are consistent throughout multiple regions or if it's just kind of a one-off entry.
Yes. So I think that in our research, we've sort of figured out that there's a couple different categories of Pokedex entries. So on the one hand, and it's sort of a spectrum, all the way from like legendaries in terms of like literal legendary Pokemon to like scientific measurements and observations that have been taken that would qualify as actual science in the real world.
Yeah.
And all of the Pokedex entries are on a spectrum from between those two extremes.
Yeah,
So,
and we're definitely gonna show off kind of both of those sides.
Yep. So, starting on much more of the scientific side, we have, and even this is a little bit questionable. So we have a cargo, which in Sapphire.
It's a great place to start.
Yep. It says that its body temperature is 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this is definitely dubious because that is a couple of times hotter than the surface of the sun. The sun is like 5,000 degrees. I don't know if it's 5,000 Celsius or Fahrenheit or whatever, but either way,
it's a lot hotter than the sun.
Yes, because it's saying that's about 10,000 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. Man.
And
so like you hear that
This is-
Pokedex entry,
Yeah.
and like there is absolutely no way this is true. Like it's impossible. Like if this were true, like it just wouldn't make any sort of sense for this kind of universe to exist. And so, Andrew, I want to know, other than the Sapphire entry, is there any other game that says the same thing?
So it is. So that is also mentioned in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
Okay.
This exact temperature in all of the Generation 5 games.
Oh no.
So that's where. So that's where it appears.
Yeah.
It is also in Alpha Set. So
this is confirmed by 3 different regions.
yes. So it's the same across multiple regions. So I think that there's a couple possibilities here. Either A, they're all just like copying off of each other without
doing
verifying
any
it.
research.
B, physics in the Pokemon world are different, and
No, that's not true because other
Yeah.
parts of the Pokemon world are totally consistent. Like I don't know, think about I'm sure there's like people in deserts that are like, oh man, it's like 100 degrees here.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely seen something like that in the anime.
Right. See what I'm thinking about is like Claire's gym is like an enclosed space with lava, and it would definitely be impossible to survive in there. I think that someone has calculated, and it's somewhere between 2 and 3 seconds. If you went in there, and it was actually like that, you would die in 2 to 3 seconds.
Okay, what if the lava isn't real?
So that is definitely something. Is that you would die in that gym, and it's a similar situation.
Yeah.
We're talking about like a different element. We're talking about like temperature in the gym. We're talking about temperature regarding the cargo.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I mean, okay. Like, I don't know. You definitely make a pretty strong point with that, and I don't know. I haven't seen any reason, I guess, other than that, which is kind of a strange connection that you made there, that just like high temperatures like that in Pokemon would just be normal.
yeah, I mean the thing is, Lucario has a base stat total of 410. It is by no means like something that's like super crazy powerful.
Yeah.
If it was a legendary, then I would believe that it can go up to that temperature.
Yeah, but it's not even saying it can go up to that temperature. It's saying
that
it's in a constant state.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that takes a lot of energy. How is it creating that temperature?
Yeah.
Um, There is no fire that goes up to that temperature. So, I don't know.
You know what?
You wouldn't be able to put it on a battlefield made of definitely not, obviously not grass, but even like brick.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to have like a brick battlefield or even like a titanium battlefield.
Yeah, no, I mean,
at that point.
Yeah. It's just.
Because you wouldn't have a battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So
everything would die immediately.
Yeah. So based on that, and just thinking about how it would need to maintain that temperature. I think that what's happening in this instance is they're just all going back to that original exaggerated figure. I would believe 1,800 degrees.
Yeah. I mean, even that though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. As Mad Cargo's trainer, you're just like, go Mad Cargo, you got this, and then you just toss him out. Like, even at 1,800.
You better
degrees,
throw that Pokeball as far as you can throw
and
it.
like, imagine how hot the Pokeball must be.
Well, if Pokemon get turned into dead inside their Pokeballs
Oh yeah.
instead of turned on, which I'm pretty sure they
I don't
do.
understand how that works.
No, because you can put them in. You can put them in the PC.
Then how can they break out? If
They
they're
break
data,
out.
how do they break out?
I don't know. That's a question for another time.
Alright.
The Pokeball doesn't have a Pokedex entry, so that's not part
Dang
of the
it.
topic for this video.
Yeah, no, you're right. All right, you know what? I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm going with it just can't be true.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
So that's one thing where even though it looks like a scientific measurement, it's like, oh, they took the temperature. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
Be
make
true.
any sense.
So
Like that entry alone just
Yeah.
like totally hurts the credibility of the Pokedex.
that is
It's like
true.
if anyone is like hinging their argument on a point made by the Pokedex, it's like, okay, but the Pokedex also says this about Mad Cargo, so
Right.
you can't really
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like when you go and tell somebody that their fundamentalist literal reading of the Bible is not true. You just need one impossible thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're totally right.
To do so now we have that one and we can go, okay, Pokedex fundamentalists cannot possibly be right because we already have a counterexample.
Yeah.
It's
all
that
it
kind
takes
of
is one, yeah. Yeah, no, you're totally right. But I mean, I don't know, I guess just to poke another hole into the Pokedex, we can look at Electivire.
Before you do that, I do
Okay.
have a question. So, if we're going with the idea that you are researching these as like a 10, 11-year-old protagonist, and, you know, that's what you're literally doing, is you're doing the research instead of the professor, because for Professor Oak it's that he's too old. For the others that aren't too old, I guess it's that they just have other things to do.
Yeah. I mean,
And so, I mean, I wouldn't really trust a scientific paper that was written by someone who is
by a
10.
10-year-old. Yeah.
So maybe they are just like generally putting their best effort and it just isn't very good because the
Yeah,
best effort
it's just
is-
like a child is like, oh yeah, Mad Cargo's like
They're
100,000
just
degrees.
they're just guessing. They have no idea about temperature scales or anything like that. So that might be
I mean,
a reason as to why entries are like this. So let's move on now
yeah.
to the next entry that you
I don't know. Well, okay, sorry, but I do have a counterpoint to that,
Yeah.
and that is in the anime, the Pokemon that Ash caught, Ash didn't do any research on them, and he sent them to Professor Oak, who through the PC, who then performed research on them and made conclusions.
Okay.
So just throwing that out there, it's probably there's a chance it's the child writing the Pokedex. I don't think so. I think it's a professor or something doing research in the background.
Okay, I was going based off of the games and not the anime because I don't know that much about the Pokedex in the anime.
Yeah.
I also think that this is not 10-year-old levels of writing.
Yeah, you're right. That is true.
It is.
There's no way there's a single grammatical error in the Pokedex.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but then how do we explain that, like, when you first get a Pokemon, it just instantly fills in the entry?
Yeah, I know. I was kind of thinking that too. That
Like-
really doesn't. I feel like that just we'll chalk it up as a game mechanic.
I'm actually thinking that, okay, so in recent Pokemon games, the Pokedex has been shown to be an AI. It's intelligent. It has some level of intelligence. I'm beginning to think that the Pokedex itself, the digital device, is doing the research on the spot. Like
So-
it's able to see it and it's able to do like a 3D scan and like all these things and just because it's an advanced computer.
Yeah.
Although that is still pretty much a cop out because you can just say that a computer in any fictional world is arbitrarily advanced as to be able to do whatever.
I mean,
But I
feel
think
like
that could be a plausible explanation.
I don't think that's a plausible explanation.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that we're really dwelling on this point, but there is a lot of entries out there that are like, hey, a lowland Raichu likes pancakes. A computer's not going to know an Alolan Raichu likes pancakes just by scanning it.
Okay, that does make sense. So then I take it back. I think I was just trying to come up with an explanation. So it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense as to how it's getting the information, but I don't think that it's something that we have enough information to speculate anymore on. I mean, we can speculate all we want. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, we're finally going to move on to Electivire. And so his Electivire's Pokedex entry, all the way over in Ultra Moon, is that a single Electivire can provide enough electricity for all the buildings in a big city for a year.
Okay.
And so, needless to say,
In like one turn.
it doesn't specify. It's so vague.
Okay. Let's assume that it's over the course of its entire lifetime.
Okay.
And let's assume that, and let's also assume that it has an exceptionally long lifetime, like 200 years.
Okay.
Like
Then, honestly, if you like,
that's still a lot.
yeah, from that perspective, it's a little bit more plausible. It's still a heck of a lot of electricity. But like, I guess I see what you mean. Like, it would have been nice if the Pokedex itself were just a little bit more specific and say over the course of its lifetime. But I don't know.
Yeah.
The way that it's worded, it really makes it seem like no, at any point, just like an Electivire can just like zap. Like, oh, that can provide enough electricity for New York for a whole year.
Yeah. Can you repeat the actual wording of the Pokedex?
Yeah, okay. Quote the Ultra Moon Pokedex. A single Electivire can produce enough electricity for all buildings in a big city for a year.
Okay, I read that as over its lifetime.
Yeah.
It's like if you had it like, if you were like cracking the whip and like had it just work itself to death for its entire lifetime of presumably 200 years. We're giving it the benefit of the doubt of a long lifetime.
Who's the professor in Sun and Moon? Because he must be a cruel guy to find this out. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just like, I know you can do it. You can power New York. I believe.
Yeah. Or rather, Castelia.
Oh yeah. True.
I think that let's see. So apparently the average U.S. residential utility customer uses 10,715 kilowatt hours. Let's say a big city.
Kilowatts? Wait, a kilowatt is 1,000 watts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Using a kilowatt for an hour is a kilowatt hour. The average U.S. residential, the average household, let's just say, uses about 11,000 rounding up.
A year.
Kilowatt hours per year.
A day or a year?
A year.
Okay. 11,000.
And that's for one.
That's for one household. And it says a big city.
A big city. So that's so if a household is 4 people, then 250,000. That's a
oh man.
And plus businesses.
Yeah.
So now it didn't mention how affluent that city is. So if it's a poor city where only
a poor city but big.
You could like, or if that measurement was taken a long time ago, And it wouldn't have had to be taken all that long ago for it to not be.
I mean,
because think about the state of technology in Legends Arceus.
yeah.
And which we see
Well,
they're running
okay,
Pokedex entries.
but we know that this is from Ultra Moon.
This is from Ultra Moon.
So this was written in the time period of Alola.
But okay, Alola as a region is generally, I would say that it's not using as much electricity. So what's that's a good point. What is a large city from the perspective of Alola?
Oh man.
Realistic numbers, not like 30, because that's how many NPCs are in the game. No. How many people?
I've got nothing here.
100,000.
100,000? I don't know.
Because so that's the thing. I think that their definition of a large city is smaller than maybe our definition of a large city, because
Yeah.
they're,
Yeah, because
if that if that was a black and white Pokedex entry, then
that would be
that's
very
a-
different. Yeah,
that'd be very
and
different.
the only entry, like no other game says that. Only Ultra Moon.
What is the largest city in? What's this up?
Wait, what the largest city in Alola is?
Yeah. Apparently, it is Hau'oli.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the one city that I've heard of from that region, so that makes sense.
And if we look at it, I mean, it is not tremendously large.
Huh.
Like I would say, I wouldn't even say that. Like if it were to like actually exist, like that would be 100,000. I would say that that's in the upper tens of thousands.
Yeah. Huh. You
In
know
terms
what?
of
I
size.
see what you mean.
So
Huh. That's a really that's honestly a really good argument.
and if they're using data from not, it wouldn't need to be that old of data. Like it could be like in like Professor Oak's lifetime data.
Yeah.
We're talking.
Well, okay, we know that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, in Alola we see Red. He is a
That is
lot
true.
older than he is in Red, Blue, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black, White. So we know it's after the events of those games.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. So I mean these kind of things can develop very quickly. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm wondering. If maybe there is some truth to that, because maybe just you don't have to stretch each definition by too much in order to get something that is currently very ridiculous. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. So like,
Because each one along the way, like if we're just 25% over for each measurement, and we have 5 measurements, then we're getting 3 times the original value.
yeah.
Just because that's how math works.
Mhm. So like, I don't know. I feel like for Electivire, it's kind of like there's two very different ends of the specter. It could be like, okay, of the spectrum, yeah.
Yeah.
So on one end, it's Electivire at any point in time can just shoot a bolt of electricity to power an entire city the
Yeah.
size of Castelia
Yeah.
for an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other end, it could say Electivire over the course of its entire life
Yeah. Which one is all
could produce enough electricity to power kind of a relatively big city, like a city that would be big in the eyes of Alola.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which maybe might still be impossible. I'm not an electrician. I don't know.
Currently, but if we're talking,
But it's definitely a lot more plausible.
if this is a place that's only like had substantial amounts of electricity for the past 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like this could be, it could be plausible if and only if we're talking like old data.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
carried over.
So like, either way, it's kind of working off of flawed data.
Yeah.
So you could say that this also hurts the credibility of the Pokedex.
See,
I would say.
Yeah, if we just say, okay, they have to be using obsolete data, Alola is just getting their first Pokemon lead when you're playing the games, which means when which leads me to believe that it's a very recently industrialized region, which leads me to believe that electricity consumption would have been
A lot lower, yeah.
much lower back when these Pokedex entries were made. So I could see that one as being plausible.
And again, it's important to note that there's no other region that says this.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, there might be a reason no other region says this. It's because Alola doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that could also be. Yeah, maybe their research dangerous.
Yep.
Who knows? Next, I want to look at an entry that is not so scientific in nature, and that is Luna. So.
Wait, you said Muna?
Yes.
Okay.
So in white it says it eats the dreams of people and Pokemon. When it eats a pleasant dream, it expels a pink-colored mist. And first of all, what exactly do you think it means by eating dreams? Because obviously dreams aren't like a tangible thing.
Yeah.
They can be eaten. So obviously, in order to have a dream, that requires like a mental process, right? And obviously, in order for the brain to function, it requires like energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And,
I'm on board.
And then we know about E equals MC squared. So I don't know if it's like taking that energy out of your brain and just consuming the energy, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
like more like a plant.
Well, we have an example in the Pokemon games
Yeah.
in the form of Dream Eater, literally a move
Yes, a little move called Dream Eater.
that damages the opponent, has to be asleep to use the move, and heals, I think, half the damage that was done.
Yes, that is a move.
And so, honestly, with that to consider, I don't think that this this here
Okay.
thing
It fits within mechanics.
Yeah, it fits within the mechanics of the game. I don't
Yeah.
really see any reason to
Okay. Yeah.
disprove that.
I feel like there are plenty of more extreme moves out there, you know, that do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Which we're talking about what moves actually do is an entirely different topic, and it's a rabbit hole that I do not want to go down because we'll never get out of that.
But like, okay, the thing with that sort of thing is, so we see Magcargo, you know, go onto the battlefield, and he's just sitting there. Like, that can't happen.
Right.
But Muna, we see in the games, can probably use Dream Eater. I don't know, I think.
I can't, that's stupid.
If it can't, that would be very surprising.
Although there are dumber things, I've seen dumber things happen in like the movesets. Let me just look that up.
Okay. Yeah,
yes.
but okay.
Level 44.
All right, yeah. So it's even a level up move. So it even learns it naturally. So honestly, yeah, that entry makes sense within the world of Pokemon. Whereas the Magcargo one, no matter what your root of thinking is. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. There is no plausible way that can happen.
So we're 2 for 3 on ridiculous Pokedex entries that actually make sense if you think about them. So, what is your next one?
So my next one is gonna be Frostlass, who has kind of like a bit of a strange entry, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So, according to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, legends in snowy regions say that a woman who was lost in an icy mountain was reborn as Frostlass. And so, you don't really see examples of this very often. I can think of one other entry that mentions a human turning into a Pokemon, which is Kadabra. But this is kind of grim, I guess you could say. Like, so a woman is like alone on an icy mountain, totally lost. I feel like it's safe to assume that they died because even later on, let me see, in Sun, the entry for Sun, we're going back to Alola.
It's also a ghost type.
Yeah, the soul of a woman lost on a snowy mountain possessed an icicle, becoming this Pokemon. The food it most relishes is the souls of men. So that kind of sent a bit of shiver down my spine.
So here's the thing about that though. That explains one, right? That explains one. Obviously, there are ghosts in the Pokemon world, just straight up ghosts, like not just ghost types. So we know that that's a thing. So I'm thinking like, okay, that explains the first one, and then am I just supposed to assume that all the rest of them come from just like breeding with Ditto?
I mean, maybe. Like, it's strange to me because with all the other ghost types, I think, like, they don't, well, like you said, they don't have an origin coming from, like, a person or, like, an animal or something.
But it's, I guess, wouldn't it be implied that something had to die in order for the ghost to be created?
I guess.
Because it has to be a ghost.
You know what?
So this is just the one that has an explanation for how the thing died. Now.
Yeah,
like,
but
the other
okay.
ones don't.
You know what? That's a good point, and I guess I'll give you that. But here's another question about Frostlass's entry.
Yeah.
So in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it specifically says legends in Snowy Mountains say.
I see that.
So this isn't proved. Like, there are legends of this happening to Frostlass. We don't know for sure. Like, you know, there's distant legends. This might have happened. Probably not though, because it's a legend. And you know, legends in Pokemon are never true. Like, Arceus isn't real. Like, you know, and so. But when you look at the Moon entry, it's not a legend anymore. Like, it just straight up says, like, hey, yeah, this is true. A woman died in a snowy mountain. An icicle got possessed, and now Frostlass is real.
Yeah, that is very. Also, I pulled this one up. Also, we have plausible temperatures here. Like, this could very well have been measured.
Oh yeah.
Negative 58 degrees. That's plausible.
Yeah, no. For those of you who can't see, like, Black and White says it freezes prey by blowing its negative 58 degree Fahrenheit breath, and then it is said to secretly display its prey.
Wait, so, yeah. Okay. Like, that, yeah, that's a consensus there. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that. But,
yeah, we're not going to go into that.
I think, that maybe back in the days of Heart Gold and Silver, it wasn't, like, verified, so they had to say, like, legends in some mountains, and then by the time of Moon, they were able to verify it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, the connotations of legends is that it happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I don't see how something in the span of a few years, because remember, this is all in the lifespan of Red.
Yeah.
Something like that could have turned out. Not to mention the fact that the exact same entry is present in Y and Alpha Sapphire.
So, I'm thinking that this would just be like an archaeological discovery. Like they suspected it for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's where it's come from. And then do we know that there's a time gap in between RS and Sun and Moon?
I don't think we know that. We know there's a time gap between
Right.
Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Sun and Moon. Do we know if there's one between Y and Sun and Moon?
Yeah. Because that's what that's the last time it says Legends and Origins.
Yeah.
And then the first time that it's like definite.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I guess, like, I just don't see how they could prove that.
Well, things can be frozen in ice for a long time.
Yeah.
So, Poke global warming and archaeology
We have
is how
uncovered.
I'm gonna get that one to work. So I think
You're saying it's plausible.
yeah, I'm saying it's possible that it's not impossible.
Okay. You know what? I'll agree with
It
you.
gives a very narrow window for that archaeology to have been done, but I think that it's possible.
Yeah. I mean,
That archaeology
it
was
does
done.
have to happen sometime if it's going to happen.
Right.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Now of course, the future game will come out and it's gonna say Legends again, and this is gonna be totally out of the window. But we'll cross the bridge when we come to it.
Yeah. I mean, you could make that argument. Well, oh yeah, we don't know when Ruby and Sapphire happened. I don't think.
They happen at the same time as Generation
Really.
1, I believe.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then wait, never mind. That still says Legends. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if an Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, it doesn't mention any legends, and it's just like, yeah, this is what happened. Then we've got a problem. But until that happens, we are A-okay.
Yep. Okay. So, you mentioned Kadabra when you were talking about yours, so I think I'm going to skip to that one. Now,
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's another situation. Which version did you say?
I
It's
think
obviously a lot for.
the Fire Red entry is there's a couple entries that mention it, but this one
It
is
happened one morning. A boy with extrasensory powers awoke in bed, transformed into Kadabra. That does not actually give any information about the one itself.
it's so vague.
It's just an origin story.
Yeah.
supposedly.
And it's like, again, like this is an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be very informational
Yeah.
and like not leave any stone unturned.
Yeah.
Like it's talking like it's saying this like it's a legend,
Yeah.
but it doesn't say that it's a legend.
It's saying this as like it's like objectively.
Yeah, and I mean, so with Frostlass, we were like, okay, this could happen because Frostlass is a ghost Pokemon, and it's from somebody who died.
Yeah.
But Kadabra seemingly doesn't have, like, other than the shape of his body, it's not really linked to humans in any way.
Right.
So it just, I don't know. It seems really tough to like connect, like just say, oh yeah, like just hey, this kid had psychic powers or something, and just like, oh, he woke up one day, and his skin was yellow.
Yeah, obviously we know that there's like channelers as like a trainer class and like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just like psychic type specialist trainers in general.
Yeah, but like it's crazy for me to just like imagine, just like you're a human one day and then suddenly you wake up in bed and you're just a Pokemon now, just for no reason except for the fact that you had extrasensory powers, which people in the Pokemon universe have, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah, that.
Like there are ESP trainer classes.
Yep.
Who just can use their psychic powers to make Pokeballs float and stuff.
Yep.
Like this is maybe not necessarily a common occurrence, but something that people, unnamed people can just be capable of doing.
It's a known capability.
Yeah.
So, I think that the reason this made it all the way into the objection is because I think it was very hard to actually get information on Kadabra because it was just teleport.
Okay.
So I think that they just went with, instead of having a blank entry, we don't know anything about this Pokemon other than the fact that it's yellow.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you can't make that argument because to get the entry you have to catch it.
Yeah.
And so it can't teleport away.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just have to catch it on that first turn. So,
they don't know anything about it until you catch it, right?
Yeah. Now we're cycling back to the research question.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's just another thing we have to. I don't think there's a plausible explanation unless you can just come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that it's a myth.
Right.
But they didn't say it was a myth for some reason.
Yeah.
Because
that might just have to do.
Let me check the other entries.
Fire Red is an older game. That might just have to. No, I don't think they were close to reaching the character limit because in Emerald it has a much longer. Sapphire even has a twice as long of an entry. So it's not that they were reaching the limit of how long an entry could be.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in Emerald, it says that it's rumored that a boy with psychic abilities suddenly transformed into Kadabra. And so they say in Emerald that it was a rumor. In Fire Red, they don't say it was a rumor, and it's not mentioned anywhere else. So
I think this could be like Poke fake news or Pokemon conspiracy theory. Fake news.
Yeah, honestly, I just think Fire Red didn't say that it was a rumor.
Yep. The Emerald. I think the writers of the Emerald Pokedex.
Way to go, Professor Birch! You've done it again.
Yeah, I think that's just that's the original fake news, and then the
Yeah, but they say it's a rumor.
they say it's a rumor, and then Fire Red, it was just they just totally lied and they did not check their sources.
Yeah, and then it got disproved.
Yeah,
and that's why no other entry. Talks about it.
Yep. Yep. And
okay.
Or they tightened up their standards for science.
Yeah.
That's another.
But then they still kept Frostlass's entry for some reason, even though that's technically a legend.
Yeah, they kept that one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a more plausible legend.
It's definitely a more plausible legend. So I think, what are we? 3 plausible and 2 implausible.
Yeah.
3 and 2. Okay, let's keep going.
All right. I think I'm up now.
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right. According to Sun's Pokedex, Shiinotic, forests where Shiinotic live are treacherous to enter at night. People confused by its strange lights can never find their way home again. So there's a kind of, this isn't really one that couldn't happen. It's just it's scary because I know a lot of people, myself included, have imagined just oh man, what if the Pokemon world were real? What if I were just living in this world? And we've definitely made an entire episode on this.
Yep.
And if Shiinotic lives in that world, that's a scary world to live in, right?
Yeah. I don't know which one it is. It was some sort of poison type or something that was I think it was so stinky that if you smell it you can smell it. I don't know. That could very well be just a faulty memory, but I feel like there's something where it's one of your senses just won't work.
Yeah, I mean I know
They use a lot
the Lake Trio,
yeah.
Uxie, Mesprit, Nazel. It's if you look at Uxie, you'll lose all your memories. I think if you touch Azelf, you'll never have any willpower anymore. You'll never have any motivation. And something else with Mesprit.
Okay.
I forget what it was. Oh, and it wasn't if you look at Uxie. It was if you make eye contact with Uxie, because you know.
Yeah.
But he always has his eyes closed, so hooray for that.
Yeah, so you can't actually have the hat,
Yeah. But anyway, circling back to Shinodic. So apparently, like this entry says people confused by its lights can never find their way home again. Like there is no hope for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't see why a Pokedex would say that. Like people by its it could literally say people confused by extreme lights.
Yeah.
Have in history never found their homes again. But it just says, oh yeah, if you find a Shinodic in the forest, like you're screwed. You're dead.
Yeah.
It's so strange. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that there's probably one time in history, or maybe a couple of times where people saw it, but they saw it and disappeared and were never seen again, then they wouldn't be able to report on it.
True.
So
wait a minute.
Although it could also be that people already knew that there was Shinodic in the forest, and that was the forest where someone disappeared, never to be seen again. Like that was the last place they were seen.
Yeah.
Like that can make sense. But why aren't they putting actual information?
Yeah, it just seems like there are definitely people who saw these lights.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe they got confused, and maybe they got lost for like a couple days, and then they found their way back. Like people aren't idiots.
Yeah.
They aren't gonna be just like dazzled by these lights for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And even if they were dazzled by these lights, Shinodic could, according to the Ultra Sun entry, put its prey to sleep and siphon off their vitality through the tip of its arms.
And that's how it kills them.
Yeah.
And that's why they never find their way home again.
Because they die.
They die.
They are murdered by the wild Shinodic.
If it's doing that, combining the Sun entry with the Ultra Sun entry, that could make sense. Like if you're around too many of them, that's why you don't come back.
Because you literally die.
Yeah.
You have your energy drained from your body, and there's nothing that you can do with that.
Yeah, that is very much kidding.
Cue the Shinodic 3D model where he literally just has this infinite smile on his face.
Oh yeah, one of those.
Yep. So definitely plausible, definitely grim.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't really an entry that I thought was impossible, but it just kind of makes me afraid.
Yeah.
It makes me think like, maybe the Pokemon world wouldn't be too awesome to live in after all.
Yeah. If there's like a Pokemon like that.
Yeah.
Roaming around.
All right, your turn.
So we already did Jabra. So another one that makes you think is Absol, because it is the disaster Pokemon, and there's the legend of it is like the Ruby Pokedex has a really good entry here. Every time Absol appears before people, every time Absol appears before people, it is followed by a disaster such as an earthquake or a tidal wave. As a result, it came to be known as the disaster Pokemon.
This is false.
Yeah.
This is not true.
Yeah. There's no way, because disasters just don't happen that often.
Yeah. This happened. In Ruby, it's right. In Ruby, you encounter Absol, and then earthquakes and tidal waves happen. That's pretty cool how that happens.
Yep.
I really like that. But any other game that you encounter that in, it doesn't happen. And it, again, it could have just said legend claims or something like that, and then it would be understandable.
Yeah.
but it leaves no room for interpretation.
That is true. It makes the Pokedex entry makes it sound like if I have an Absol on my team and I send it out, you're done for. And I'm
An
also
earthquake is going to happen.
and I'm also done for. So just don't catch.
Why did I catch this thing?
I'd have it in the front of your party.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
So I've got a question though. Are there any, are there other entries that say that?
I'm looking.
And if they do say that, does it say that it's a legend?
X has it senses coming disasters and appears before people only to warn them of impending danger. So I think that they've gradually come to figure out that it's not every time,
Yeah.
and that they figured out that it can do that and it does do that,
Okay.
but it doesn't always. But it can also appear other times.
Okay. So Ruby says every single time it happens.
Yeah.
And then wait, what entry was that?
That was X.
Yeah, and so X researched it a little more, and they realized that hey,
Yep.
it's not every time.
Yep. They saw it some other time when a disaster didn't come.
Yeah, and then they did more research, and they said, hey, Absol can sense when things are about to happen, but if you see one, you're not screwed.
Yes.
Like they might come out and warn you if something is about to happen.
Yep.
And I guess that's good to know.
Yep. And then we go all the way down to like Shield, where it says, because of this Pokemon's ability to detect danger, people mistook Absol as the bringer of doom. Which.
Oh my gosh.
Which.
Wait, it goes full circle.
Yep, it goes full circle. And also, people said that that was like an actual misconception in the Pokemon community, that people thought that it was like that it brought disaster, but
Wow, that's actually a really good entry.
and then they corrected that. So
yeah.
But by the time of Shield, we have a really solid understanding.
Yeah. So Ruby.
Of what it does.
Ruby happened. And
they were just
so
big
the entry
sensationalists trying to get headlines of this.
Yeah, exactly. They saw, so somebody caught an Absol.
Yep.
And then Groudon attacked the world or whatever.
Yep.
Because it's Ruby.
Yep.
And then in X they did more research and they were like, yeah, it doesn't happen every time, it's fine. And in Shield they did even more research, and they were like, yeah, we kind of caused, like, over in Hoenn, Professor Birch caused mass hysteria by saying that was true, and now we're documenting it. That's cool.
It seems like Hoenn and the Low seem to come up a lot.
Yeah, actually.
I'm wondering about and those are like in like warmer, like those are the warmer regions.
Yeah.
That could be like a study in the Pokemon world in and of itself, is like do the Pokemon professors in warmer regions take their jobs less seriously? Who knows?
Alright, so moving on to the next entry, and probably the final one that I'm going to do since we're running out of time. It's going to be Yveltal, whose Y entry, you may have heard this before, so quote the entry from Pokemon Y. When its life comes to an end, it absorbs the life energy of every living thing and turns into a cocoon once more. It's just long battery. So there are so many problems with this entry. First off, and most obviously, like, that's a real problem if you want to live in the Pokemon world. Like, we talked about Shiinotic.
The world has not ended that many times.
Yeah. Like, we talked about Shiinotic. That's scary. This is horrible.
Yeah.
Like, the world comes to an end. It doesn't even say on planet Earth. It literally says every living thing.
Yeah.
Just everything dies. Just like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had plans tonight. Sorry, Yveltal died.
You were alive at the wrong time.
Yeah. Like, my apologies. everything dies. But also, how the heck does anyone know about this?
Yeah. How could it? I don't see any possible way for that to be recorded and for the story to survive.
Yeah.
Because you can't write down, you can't record your own death,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
like.
maybe Arceus wrote this, and because Arceus can't die, and Arceus is like,
yeah.
exception.
I'm sorry, guys.
With one of his 1,000 arms.
He should. Well, why doesn't he just use one of his 1,000 arms to stop this from happening? Like at this point. Like,
No. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Arceus, but we are not gonna have time for that.
Yeah.
So I think this is another one that goes into the impossible.
Yeah. This just like it can't. Like there's so many problems with
There's
it.
no way that it's possible that it's not impossible.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So, there are just some problems. So what's their scorecard so far? What do we have? 3 today.
I think we've got 3 that are impossible.
Yeah.
And then 4 that are at least plausible, if not like make sense, like make perfect sense.
Yeah. 4 that are not impossible.
Yeah.
And we'll just leave it there. Yep. So, looking at this last one. This is one of the ones that inspired me to make this as a topic, and it is Gardevoir, and it is the one that says
I know this one.
yes, that it will make a small black hole in order to protect its trainer.
You're gonna kill your trainer.
Yep.
Do you know?
It will kill its trainer one way or another. See, the thing is, what do we mean by a small black hole? If we mean by a small amount of mass, first of all, a black hole will be so small that it would just vaporize pretty much instantly, which also turns out to send out a tremendous amount of radiation. It wouldn't suck you in, but it would basically be a bomb, and you would just die.
I'll save you sets off a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll save you from the wild Shinodic.
It's like hurry up, quick! You accidentally fainted, Yamatal. So that might not, so we don't want everything there. So it'll just be
Don't worry,
guys.
Gardevoir will save everyone.
Yep.
Black hole. Yeah, like I don't know.
And also, like if it was small in size, like we have to remember, a black hole that you could fit in the palm of your hand would have the mass of the Earth, and also the gravity of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually, though, I am just now thinking of something.
Yeah.
Maybe black holes work differently in the Pokemon world, because there is that. I think it was a Z move.
Yeah.
That is literally just a black hole. And a Pokemon gets sucked into a black hole. And they can technically survive it.
Black hole eclipse.
Yep. So maybe black holes are just different.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of thinking about it with the physics of our world.
Right. But I think we've shown the physics of the Pokemon world will be different. Just from moves.
Yeah.
Just from other moves.
Yeah, exactly with like the Munra example. Like, yeah, this wouldn't make any sense in our world. But like with precedent from what we see in the Pokemon game, like maybe this is possible.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it is possible.
Yeah, because it happens.
It's just a different kind of black hole.
Yeah. Huh.
Because there's like wormholes, like in the Ultra games.
Mm-hmm.
There's wormholes, and we don't even know how wormholes work. So, and that's not even like you don't even need Pokemon for that. Like they just exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right.
So it is definitely different physics. So I'm gonna put that one in the plausible side.
Plausible,
I guess,
but only because it's not our universe.
but conditionally plausible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like the
condition
Electivire one.
that black holes work differently.
Uh-huh.
I can see that making sense. So we ended up with 5 plausible.
Yeah, 5 plausible, 3
and
that are
3
impossible.
Definitely impossible.
Yeah.
So I think that from that we have to conclude that we sort of handpicked the more ridiculous Pokedex entries that don't just describe the Pokemon and would actually make sense.
Yeah.
If we're trying to make it like scientifically accurate information.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, most of those could be possible.
Yeah.
And so I think that what that actually means is that the Pokedex isn't really that ridiculous for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that you don't see in the games at all and are kind of hard to believe.
Yeah.
But like they could technically be true.
But
like
then
Pokemon
again,
would be definitely a weird and strange world.
Yeah.
But they're plausible. It could be true.
Yeah.
Probably not though. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say like what kinds of things would happen if, like, let's say that I catch one of the legendaries that's responsible for something really good, like Palkia, right? I catch Palkia and I box it and just leave it there. Does the universe stop expanding?
That's it.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's
what happens in that case? What happens in like all these other cases? And that's definitely something to
to kind of discuss at a later date. And like, hey, if you know some crazy Pokedex entries too, like drop them in the comments.
Yep.
Like we check everyone, and we'll definitely respond to them if they're crazy enough. So I don't know, keep that in mind. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you saw here and maybe what you saw in some other videos. And that's, I think, going to be all from us. Tower Duo, out.